Well, hey, friends, welcome back to Fun-Filtered Marketing Talk for Authors. I'm Sarah, and I'm so glad you're here with us today.
Hello, Sarah.
Hello, Heather.
Hi, I'm Heather, and whether you are joining us live or catching the replay, we are really glad that you pulled up a chair. This is where we talk honestly about what it takes to actually steward your book and message well, without hype, without pressure, and without pretending that this journey is easy.
And before we jump in, if these conversations feel helpful, go ahead and subscribe, hit the notification bell, and give this video a like.
Yes, that small click helps for this conversation to reach more authors who are trying to figure out marketing without burning out or losing heart. And we really do read the comments. They actually shape these episodes more than you know.
All right, we are continuing our series, What Successful Authors Do That Others Don't.
Yes. Okay. So we're going to do a quick recap. This is our fourth week. So we're going to go back 3 weeks. We talked about platform and clarified that platform is about relationship, not about reach.
Yep. And then we talked about treating your book like a message, not a product. Because when the message leads, marketing feels like service instead of pressure.
Yes. Okay. And then last week, we unpacked collaboration, how successful authors don't try to carry all of this alone.
And today's conversation really builds naturally on all of that. Because once you understand relationship, once you understand message, once you stop isolating yourself, you stop thinking short term.
Yes, which is a perfect segue into today. Very well done. Good job. So here's today's focus. Successful authors think long game, not launch only.
Mm-hmm. And this one right here, this is where a lot of discouragement actually comes from, because many authors unknowingly put all of their emotional weight into 1 week, launch week.
Yeah. So here's what launch only thinking would sound like. If this launch doesn't go well, my book has failed. Or maybe if I don't hit a certain number, it's over. Or if sales dip after week 3, something is wrong.
Mm-hmm. And culturally, we're kind of actually conditioned for this. Like everything is about the big ta-da or a debut, the spike, the splash. Bet you didn't know I was going to try to sing, Heather.
I want to hear it. Keep going.
That was probably not a wise choice considering you actually know how to sing and I don't.
No. We can ask them.
But let's go back to books. Especially Christian books rarely build impact in that big ta-da or aha moment. They actually build when an author keeps sending a thoughtful email every week, when he or she continues pitching podcasts after the launch, when he or she revisits the book during maybe a relevant holiday or a cultural moment, when they keep asking for reviews, sharing reader stories, updating keywords, and mentioning the book naturally in conversations. Impact actually grows when an author keeps showing up long after the excitement or the singing dies down. That's what actually builds momentum.
Yeah. So successful authors understand something that is critical. The launch is a spark, it is not the fire.
Ooh, that's good.
Yeah.
Yep. The first year of a book's life often sets the tone for the long-term trajectory, not the first 7 days. And authors who see that differently behave differently. And dare I say, they also tend to relax, enjoy the experience.
Yeah. Yeah. Because it's no longer just all writing on the first week, right?
Yep.
slow and steady. So
Mm-hmm.
here is what the long game thinking looks like practically. So we're going to give you a few things to write down. Thinking practically for the long game. Number one, successful authors will plan follow-up promotions. So instead of pouring everything into that one moment, that launch moment, they build kind of waves and layers of things. So 3 months after the launch, maybe it's time for the ebook to be discounted. 6 months in, maybe a themed campaign to tie a relevant season.
Yeah. And let's just say, for example, if you wrote a gratitude themed book, you don't want to ignore it at Thanksgiving. And successful authors key into that. If it's a devotional, successful authors will not miss Christmas. They ask, where does this message naturally intersect with the calendar? So that's number one. Number two is they refresh their messaging. They don't just lean into how it's always been. As reviews come in, successful authors really update their language. So things like over 55-star reviews, things like readers are calling this the devotional they didn't know they needed. Things like join hundreds of women who've walked through this 40-day journey. That kind of social proof becomes part of the ongoing story for that book.
Yeah. Yeah. So they don't keep using that same back cover language forever. If readers are mentioning one specific chapter, a successful author will start highlighting that. That's so helpful, right? You can utilize things that are coming from other people that other people are saying. If testimonials repeat a certain phrase, a successful author will use that phrase in emails and on social posts. If a particular struggle keeps showing up in the reviews, they will lean into that in interviews. It's that way to connect and keep that ongoing conversation. So they'll pay attention to what's resonating and then adjust their messaging to match what real readers are saying, not just what was originally written on the launch copy. So it becomes very relevant. Okay, so number three, successful authors stay present long after the excitement fades. So there's all this work leading up to this grand thing, and they won't disappear after the launch, right? They'll keep showing up. It's not just about this one-time event. Not constantly promoting, but maintaining a rhythm. And I might add a sustainable rhythm. So you want to have about 80% value and then about 20% of gentle, I can't speak today, I'm sorry, gentle reminders that the book exists.
They continue doing these things as well, pitching podcast, writing guest articles, updating keywords and categories, encouraging reviews, engaging with readers. It's not frantic, it's steady, and it's intentional. Go back to that word that Heather used all over again. So that was number three. Let's go to number four. Successful authors encourage reader participation. This is not a party for one. Everyone needs to be part of the process, and you encourage that they engage with your material rather than just be a receiver. Long game authors really understand something powerful. Readers are part of the momentum. It's not just you posting, you sharing the message. It's that they are part of the process and they are part of what keeps the process going. So, successful authors might run a photo contest with the book, engagement, a giveaway tied to a seasonal theme, again, engagement, a reader testimonial feature in their newsletter, again, engagement and bringing them into the process.
Yeah, that's so good, Sarah. That user-generated content will keep the book alive in a very natural, grassroots type of way. It will cost very little, which is always exciting to hear when it doesn't cost much, but it will build and it will deepen the connection. So here's something to remember. The long game thinking that we're talking about changes how you respond when the numbers dip. So when launch week, and we referred to this a little earlier, when launch week isn't the final ta-da, as Sarah said, the final thing, the final verdict, you're not going to panic the first time that those sales and those numbers slow down or the engagement slows down. You don't immediately rewrite your entire strategy. Please don't rewrite your entire strategy. You're not going to pull the book from your bio, and you don't decide that your message must not matter. That discouragement doesn't creep in the same.
A slow month becomes something that you look at, not something you emotionally react to. Let me say that again, because I think that's really important. A slow month becomes something that you look at, not something that you emotionally react to. So you ask things like, is this just a quiet season overall? Did I stop talking about the book? Have I pitched anything recently? Is this normal post-launch leveling out? So instead of immediately thinking, well, gave it my best shot, and I guess I am a total failure. Long game authors don't assume failure after one quiet stretch. They assess, they adjust, and they keep going. And really, isn't that how we're supposed to approach life in general? We're not supposed to be fueled simply by emotion. We're to be wise. We're to be prayerful. We're to step back and really consider rather than emotionally respond. And that is exactly how to apply it when you're launching a book. Do not ride on emotion. Rest that God has given you a message, and He's going to give you a way forward to execute that. So now I would like us to just kind of focus on what may be a hard but loving truth, and that is that publishing experts consistently say something we all need to hear, and that is this: you shouldn't stop marketing as long as you are an active author.
That's good. That's really good. So, and remember that word, that doesn't mean you're constantly selling. It means you're consistently stewarding, two very different things. Because a book will often sell in layers. So word of mouth, that remains the number one way for things to sell, is word of mouth. Seasonal rediscovery, right? As the seasons change, people are looking for different things. If you had new platform growth or speaking invitations, if you do podcast appearances over the months or even years later, as long as you want to sell your book or you want it to be sold, you continue to talk about it. So let's gently name something. If all your hope was tied to launch week, you may feel a little bit discouraged right now because you've put so much effort into that one moment.
But what if the book isn't behind you? What if it's just beginning its real life? And that's an important question to sit with. This is not an ending. This is just the beginning. So let's make this simple and grounded. This week, we want you to do 3 things. Okay. So the first one is look at your book calendar for the next 12 months. Long game, not short game, long game. Where does your message naturally connect with seasons or themes? Number 2, plan follow-up promotion. Not huge, not expensive, just intentional. And number 3, update at least one piece of messaging to reflect current reviews or reader feedback. And may I just say, I will turn the spotlight right back on myself. This is something I needed to do a year ago. So I am going to join with you and do this as well.
Yeah, that's good. So here's the real mindset shift. Instead of asking, did this book flop or why aren't the numbers higher? Start asking things like this. What would it look like to talk about this book once a week for the next year? Where does this message naturally fit into my life and conversations? And maybe what could I realistically keep doing without burning out? Because the goal is not that one big spike. It's building something you can live with, something that is sustainable, and keep going with it long after that launch week is over. So that's the shift. You're building something that will last for as long as you want to keep it going. Okay. That's a lot of information. We just gave you a whole lot of information. We're going to take just a minute and look at the comments because we can't always see them right when we're in the middle. Let me see. Does anybody have any questions? Any questions that popped up about long? And even if you're thinking of one right now, feel free to pop it in the chat. Have you ever felt that long launch only pressure when you were launching your book? Maybe you're an existing author and your book launched this year or last year or a couple of years ago. How have you learned that long game over time? We'd love to hear what you have to say.
And if not, I'm sure Heather can sing a song for us.
Well, maybe. We're going to join in a little sing along here.
A little ditty.
I don't see any. I just see Gail.
Oh, we're so glad you're here, Gail.
Happy Friday to you as well. Okay. So long game works. All right. Yep. Linda Jo. If you can tell us, does the long game work because that's how you approached it from the beginning? Or is that something that you learned as your book has been published and you've been working the long game? We'd love to see what you say. And then Casey, my book hasn't launched yet, but this is great info. Good.
Yep.
That's the hopeful part, right? That we catch you as you are preparing to launch, but also remind you that if your book is already published, it's not too late. Like you can step back and recognize the launch happened. You've been trying things, but how can you start now and build that slow and steady momentum?
Yeah. And I think that Heather also uncovered something else that I think a lot of times we don't necessarily do in asking, hey, what did you see over the first year your book was in circulation? Learning from those who've walked before you to understand how that long game, that long-term perspective works is also great as well.
Yeah. So Linda Jo did say, so no, did not approach in the beginning working on a long game now with that book in the process with a Facebook group. That's fantastic. So the key is that you didn't give up, that when you started, you just pivoted. So you're building your long game now to simplify things for the future. That's really great.
Wonderful. Well, again, thank you guys for being here. And we are so glad that we could actually interact with you in the chat, because sometimes we don't get to do that. And it's just fun. It's just fun to hear where you are and hear who has joined and how this can bless you practically moving forward. So we want to leave you with some final encouragement today. Successful authors aren't necessarily more talented. And honestly, I don't think they're really always more confident either. I think the difference really is they don't treat launch week like a sprint. They fix their mind on that long game, knowing that it's a marathon, and that's okay. And to be at peace with that it's not going to necessarily take off just in that first week. You have a lifetime before you as to where that book can actually go.
Yeah, absolutely. And successful authors don't assume that something is wrong just because it's quiet for a while. I think that's really important to remember, because it feels defeating. It's discouraging. So successful authors will keep talking about the message. You see this in other industries too, that these successful people, when you hear the stories of people who you think never struggled because they have such a flourishing business, you find out they had to knock on a lot of doors. I read an article yesterday about a singer who lived in a trailer giving her songs for like 3 years, giving her songs to everyone. And she was told, no, like you're not what we're looking for. And finally it took, and now she's doing fantastic. So, but she's been doing this for a long time, and she just slow and steady kept persisting. So for authors, successful authors look at what's working and what isn't, tweaking things and staying present with who their audience is. You could flip it to the other side too and say, if you're doing things and things are going really well, make sure you're evaluating what it is that's connecting with people, so that if things start to change, you can determine what caused that change. Successful authors don't disappear the first time or the second time or the third time that things feel slow.
And over time, that steady, long game mindset is what really builds momentum, not hype, not pressure, just consistency that does not quit.
Yes, yes. So some version of the group of us with fUNfiltered will be back next week with another conversation in our What Successful Authors Do That Others Don't series. So make sure you're subscribed and you have those notifications turned on.
And if you're listening today and you haven't checked out Book Marketing Pro Academy, we would like to invite you. If you're thinking, I know my message matters, but I don't want to figure this out all on my own, that's exactly why Book Marketing Pro Academy exists. It is for you. Inside BMA, authors find training, live group coaching, coffee chats where you can just share the highs, the lows, and everything in between with other authors walking the same journey. And that close-knit community is really what makes Book Marketing Pro Academy shine above the rest. So check us out at bookmarketingproacademy.com.
Yeah. And I'll just add, friends, it's not just another thing that you're going to be a part of. It's actually very interactive, and there's so much information given, so many resources. It's really worth it. It's really worth it. So, all right. Well, Sarah, we will see you next week. I hope you all have a great
indeed.
Bye.
Bye-bye.